Morning, we started seeing people with gunshot wounds. Some plainclothes policemen prevented us from taking necessary supplies into the square, like bandages and things. We even had to turn to some criminals, give them money to open up a safe passage for us to bring in the supplies.
Focus of the push against Hosni Mubarak and his government. It's become a makeshift village for young and old.
Pro-democracy protests have continued in Egypt and mass strikes have also been taking place.
Will you leave before he steps down?
No. I'm not leaving. I will stand here until he goes.
My friends here, my friends, my daughters and sons here and the people who are together, they want me to go home. I said, no, I have to stay here. Because if we are going to be beaten, to fight back together. I am 80 years, but I'm ready to fight. So we shouldn't go home. They are trying, because they have a strategy to frighten us and to starve us. This is their policy, to frighten us. I demonstrated against King Farouk during the 50s, when I was a child. We demonstrated against King Farouk, against Nasser, against Sadat, against Mubarak. I went to prison under Sadat. I lived in exile under Mubarak. But I am here. I am 80 years, and we are not going to submit. This I have never seen. I have never seen in my life. So we have to sit, we have to keep our place.
The situation is very obvious. The Ministry of Interior unleashed all the thugs to destroy the cities. So people would say that they still need the regime. We don't want the regime. We want either a constitutional amendment or something that says that the next president of Egypt will be chosen by the people. When we say we don't want the regime, it doesn't mean we don't want Hosni Mubarak as a person and be stuck with someone else who's imposed on us. We want to choose our president because we want to take this country into the future. We're going to keep demonstrating peacefully. Even if we get attacked by the police forces, we are peaceful and we're going to keep on protesting peacefully until our demands are met. The youth are protecting their own homes. They are coming together and they are uniting, and everybody is coming together to protect their areas and their homes. We don't need the thugs of the police force to protect our own homes. We have proven that we can keep this country safe from the harm that they cause for us, and we have proven that we can take this country forward. People are cleaning the streets. The scouts are cleaning the streets. We want to keep this country safe. They want to destroy it. So we're not going anywhere until our demands are met.
So you think whatever they do tomorrow will stop people from coming to Cairo?
We are really hoping that what we've been hearing about the police force not interacting with the peaceful protesters, we hope that is true. We will be peaceful all the way, and they need to respect that and let us protest peacefully.
What has been the effect of shutting down the internet? Do you think it has slowed down?
Apparently, the effect, it had an opposite effect because people really did depend on the internet, and it was an unprovoked thing from the government to do, and even though they shut down the internet, this is not just a Facebook revolution or an internet revolution. As you've seen, hundreds of thousands of people in the street, even though the phone lines were shut on Friday, and people still came out and demonstrated, because this is not about the internet, this is about the needs and the demands of the Egyptian people.
Are you afraid that they might do something to stop it?
They tried and they couldn't, and it's either they let us protest peacefully or else people are going to stick by their word and stick by their demand and not be broken up, because we have had it, and it's either they answer our demands or we are not leaving this square no matter what.
Is there a compromise that people would accept? Something that Mubarak might do?
The only compromise people would accept is that if there's a guarantee that the next president of Egypt will be chosen by the people.
That formed a ring around those who were in prayer, which seems to be trying to protect them from the stones that were being thrown towards the way of those who were in prayer.
On Sunday, Egypt's Coptic Christians gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square to celebrate Mass and to add their voices to the thousands calling for reform. A protective ring of Muslims stood around the group as they paid tribute to those killed in the country's nearly 2 weeks of rioting. They chanted one hand, to demonstrate solidarity between Christians and Muslims.
Me as a Christian and with all my Muslim friends and all those around, we came here to say no, and we want that the regime will leave and leave the country as soon as possible.
This show of unity is a pointed response to President Hosni Mubarak's claim that only a small group of angry individuals are calling for his ouster.
I was detained on the 27th night. I was detained for 12 days, blindfolded, handcuffed, and I did not really hear anything. I did not know anything. I was not allowed to speak with anyone. And I went out. Next day I was in Tahrir. Seriously, with the amount of change I have noticed in this square, I thought it was 12 years. I never had in my mind to see this Egyptian, the amazing Egyptian. The fear is no longer fear. It's actually strength, it's power. People were so empowered. It was amazing how everyone is so empowered and now asking for their rights. Completely opposite. Extremism became tolerance. You know, who would imagine before the 25th, if I tell you that hundreds of thousands of Christians are going to pray and tons of thousands of Muslims are going to protect them, and then hundreds of thousands of Muslims are going to pray and tons of thousands of Christians are going to protect them. This is amazing. All the stereotypes that the regime were trying to put on us through their so-called propaganda or mainstream media are proven wrong. This whole revolution showed us how ugly such a regime was, and how great and amazing the Egyptian man, the Egyptian woman, how simple and amazing these people are whenever they have a dream. When I saw that, I went back and I wrote on Facebook, and that was a personal belief. Regardless of what's going on, regardless of the details, I said that we are going to win. We're going to win because we don't understand politics. We're going to win because we don't play their dirty games. We're going to win because we don't have an agenda. We're going to win because the tears that comes from our eyes actually come from our hearts. We're going to win because we have dreams.
You're looking at scenes that are making history right now in Egypt, and many analysts saying perhaps even in the whole Arab world. More than 1 million people have turned out to answer a call by opposition protesters for a 1 million-man march demanding that the Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak stands down. It was called Liberation Square in 1954, following the 1952 coup that deposed the King of Egypt. Now, many of those in that square below are hoping for a new liberation to take place as they demand the resignation of Hosni Mubarak. We are seeing hundreds of thousands of people turning out on the streets of several cities across Egypt. What you're looking at is the main square Tahrir in Cairo. Well, the protests against President Hosni Mubarak aren't just confined to Cairo, as I mentioned. Similar scenes being repeated throughout different parts of the country. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets to demonstrate in Al Arish, that's in the Sinai Peninsula. Waves of protests underway in Egypt's second largest city of Alexandria and in neighboring Damanhur. Well, demonstrations have also been taking place in the northern delta city of Al-Mansoura and in Egypt's fifth largest city of Tanta to the north of Cairo. Protesters have also taken to the streets. Well, they're also out in force in the northern industrial city of Mahalla, that's in the middle of the Nile Delta, and in the port city of Suez, which has seen some of the fiercest demonstrations, with people gathering there for an 8th straight day.
حفظ الله هذا الوطن وشعبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. محمد حسني مبارك تخليه عن منصب رئيس الجمهورية.
There are very few moments in our lives where we have the privilege to witness history taking place. We saw a young Egyptian say, "For the first time in my life, I really count. My voice is heard. Even though I'm only one person, this is the way real democracy works." We saw protesters chant, Salmiya. Salmiya. We are peaceful. Again and again. Egyptians have inspired us, and they've done so by putting the lie to the idea that justice is best gained through violence.